Hey guys, I'm your guide for this awesome manhwa. Let's dive in and explore it together. As martial arts were in their nascent stages, monstrous and exotic beasts threatened the very existence of human warriors, forcing them to surrender and retreat. But then, Lu Xiong's consciousness traversed time and space, transporting him 10,000 years ahead into a dream world where the most rudimentary of physical training techniques had evolved into highly advanced forms, thousands of times more effective than before. In this distant future, Lu Sheng discovered martial arts scriptures that had been lost to time. The martial arts civilization had reached its peak in those 10,000 years, but tragically, humanity was no more to carry on the tradition. Lu Sheng became the sole inheritor of this ancient legacy. The story unfolds in a world ravaged by catastrophe. Once a beautiful planet, it now lay in ruins, with a gaping hole within the heavens, from which legions of monsters and creatures poured forth. The traces of humanity had long since vanished, leaving behind nothing but a barren wasteland. Amidst the desolation, however, stood a lone figure, a man of immense power and unshakable conviction. He stood before a colossal creature with a calm demeanor, one hand held firmly behind his back, otherworldly energy coursing through his veins. His eyes blazed with bright light, and with a swift, fluid motion, he unleashed a devastating blast, completely annihilating anything in his way. Lu Sheng jolted awake in the middle of class, his eyes bleary and unfocused. The taunting laughter of his classmates echoed in his ears. Even the teachers sneered at him with contempt. One teacher pointed an accusatory finger at Lu Sheng, his voice dripping with disdain, claiming that no one would ever hire Lu Sheng as a bricklayer, since the basic requirement of blood energy level was point 0.8. As class ended, Lu Sheng's friend Ming approached him, concerned for his well-being. Ming offered to take him to the internet cafe and treat him to some snacks and games, hoping to lift his spirits. But Lu Sheng was too drained from the constant nightmares that had been bothering him for quite some time. Unbeknownst to Lu Sheng, fate had conspired to transport him into this isekai. He had been a diligent student, focused on acing his university entrance exam. But now, he had to face an entirely different test of survival. Lu Sheng couldn't help but notice the similarities between his old world and this new one, the only difference being the incredible level of martial arts that existed here. As Lu Sheng gazed upon a giant screen broadcasting the recent victory of the 8th Legion, who had successfully defended against another wave of monsters, his reverie was shattered by the sight of a delivery woman carrying an enormous stack of packages with effortless ease. Lu Sheng couldn't believe his eyes and envied her power. The sun was slowly sinking into the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city as Lu Sheng trudged back to his apartment. His eyes fell upon his mother in the living room, tenderly applying medicinal patches to his father's back. Despite the pain, his parents' faces lit up at the sight of their son. His father quickly got dressed, but the bandages and patches betrayed the immense effort he had put in to provide for his family. With a gentle smile, Lu Sheng suggested his father invest in an acupuncture machine to alleviate his pain and promote better circulation. But his father, ever the stoic and strong-willed, simply flexed his bicep and joked that he was made of steel and could withstand any pain. Suddenly, his father took out 2 small containers and presented them to Lu Sheng. It was a new supplement that cost a staggering $20,000, a fortune for a family like theirs. Overwhelmed by his father's selfless gesture, Lu Sheng struggled to hold back tears. As his parents questioned whether his blood energy level had reached the desired 0.85 mark, he felt a knot of anxiety form in his stomach. He sprinted to his room without wasting a moment, knowing that every second counted. With determination etched on his face, Lu Sheng began the body-strengthening technique, a fusion of ancient yoga, martial arts, and judo, adapted to build a solid foundation. He took a deep breath and launched into an explanation of the cataclysmic event that had changed the world. 3 centuries ago, monstrous creatures erupted from the sky and ground, rendering modern weapons useless. Humanity underwent genetic mutation, unlocking unimaginable power and ushering in a new age of martial arts. But even with these new abilities, the human race was at a disadvantage. Cities fell daily, and humanity was forced to retreat and regroup. After 3 grueling rounds of the body-strengthening technique, Lu Sheng's energy was completely sapped. Despite his best efforts, his blood energy level remained unchanged. Sweat poured down his face as he struggled to catch his breath. Yet, his determination never wavered. Grimacing with effort, he rose to his feet. As he stood, wavering on unsteady legs, a wave of dizziness swept over him and he collapsed. Lu Sheng woke up, but not in his room. He found himself in the desolate wasteland of his recurring nightmare. He tried to wake himself up, but to no avail. Then a zombie leapt at him, its gruesome mouth inches from his face. In the past, Lu Sheng had run from it in terror, but this time, something snapped. With a primal roar, he unleashed all his energy into his legs and kicked the zombie away. Not stopping there, he grabbed a rock and beat the undead creature until its body gave way, leaving behind a strange black liquid that oozed toward him. As he watched it approach, a torrent of unfamiliar memories flooded his mind, vivid and disorienting. He saw a man speaking to a friend about joining the elite defense squad. The man donned a military uniform, trained rigorously, and later fought during a monstrous siege at base number 1359. Lu Sheng stood in disbelief. He had retained the memories of the man he defeated. As he processed this, a sudden attack came from behind. Instinctively, he spun around and snapped the zombie's head off with a fluid motion. As the corpse dissolved, he felt a surge of energy pulsing through him. He now realized that he could absorb both the power and memories of those he defeated. Could his dreams be more than mere hallucinations? Pulled back into the real world by his sister calling him to dinner, Lu Sheng was glistening with sweat. His sculpted body made his sister blush. She quickly turned away, embarrassed. Lu Sheng recollected the days of their youth before the evaluation test changed everything. His sister, a prodigy, had scored a blood energy level of 1 and a power level of 100. He gazed at his reflection, muscular, invigorated, and completely recovered. The dream's powers had carried over. At dinner, he devoured food with a bottomless appetite. His father, pleased, encouraged his wife to cook more. After dinner, Lu Sheng went to a martial arts academy. There, a level 4 martial artist served as the instructor. Martial artists were ranked by blood energy and battle strength. Level 1, 1.5 blood energy, 150 battle strength. Level 2, 15 blood energy, 1,500 strength. Level 3, 100 blood energy, 10,000 strength. Level 4, 200 plus blood energy, 100,000 plus strength. Lu Sheng requested a test. Despite her reservations, the receptionist agreed. The crystal ball revealed his blood energy level had risen to 0.963. He then tested his battle strength using a combat form from the fallen soldier's memories. The score, 113. Stunned by such improvement in just an hour, Lu Sheng lay in bed that night, unable to sleep. He got up to exercise and found himself moving instinctively. Over 200 unfamiliar movements flowed naturally. Each movement surged energy through him, strengthening both his body and breathing techniques. He required better supplements now, ones they couldn't afford. The next day, during combat class with Mr. Zhang, a level 2 martial artist, Lu Sheng noticed the techniques were lacking. Mr. Zhang asked for a sparring partner for Yang, the top student. Everyone avoided eye contact, but then Mr. Zhang saw Lu Sheng's piercing stare. In Lu Sheng's eyes, Yang saw something terrifying, an aura born from tasting the bitter reality of death. The real test was just beginning. Ming desperately tried to persuade Lu Sheng to forfeit the match, his voice tinged with genuine fear. He had seen what Yang was capable of and worried his friend might suffer serious injuries. But Lu Sheng only smiled calmly, his expression gentle and reassuring. "Don't worry, Ming," he said. "I'll be fine." In the center of the gym, Yang stood confidently, his presence commanding the attention of everyone present. He sneered as he raised his hand, cocky and dismissive. "Stay out of my range," he warned, his voice sharp with arrogance, "or I'll shatter you." Lu Sheng didn't flinch. He simply gave a small bow of acknowledgement. "Thanks for the warning," he said, his tone polite. "I'm ready when you are." Without another word, Yang lunged forward, aiming to end the match with a single decisive blow. The crowd held their breath. But then, something unexpected happened. Lu Sheng sidestepped effortlessly, his movements fluid and precise. Before Yang could recover, Lu Sheng countered with a clean, focused strike to his opponent's face. The impact echoed through the gym. Yang flew backward, crashing hard against the far wall. Gasps erupted from the students watching. Mr. Zhang rushed forward to check on Yang, who now lay unconscious, blood trickling from his nose. Paramedics were called, and soon Yang was being wheeled out on a stretcher, leaving behind a shocked and silent crowd. Lu Sheng stood still, his expression unreadable. After a moment, he walked up to Mr. Zhang and bowed slightly in apology. "I didn't mean to hurt him so badly," he said quietly. Mr. Zhang didn't respond right away. Instead, he placed a hand on Lu Sheng's shoulder, looking at him with an unreadable expression. "Come with me," he said. He led Lu Sheng to his office, a plain room with only two things of note: a potted plant and a battle-strength testing machine. Mr. Zhang's tone turned cold as he spoke. "I need to know the truth. Are you using anything? Steroids, enhancers, anything illegal?" Lu Sheng's gaze didn't waver. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the crystal orb embedded in the testing device. A jolt of electricity surged through the room as the machine roared to life. The display lit up. 1.532. The blood energy level of a level 1 martial artist. Mr. Zhang stared in disbelief. "At 18, he muttered, his voice trailing off. "You've already reached level 1? Before he could gather his thoughts, the machine sparked violently and exploded. Pieces of metal flew everywhere, and the potted plant was reduced to soil and shards. Mr. Zhang looked down at the remains of his favorite plant, then back at Lu Sheng, now more curious than ever. "You said this happened in just 2 weeks?" Lu Sheng nodded. "2 weeks ago, I was at 0.8. "Incredible," Mr. Zhang breathed. "Were you trained by a grandmaster? From a noble family?" "No," Lu Sheng said simply. "I taught myself." Mr. Zhang sat down overwhelmed. He recalled his own difficult path, how hard he had fought just to reach level 2, the brutal training in the military, the monsters that haunted the battlefield. Even with all his experience, he had never seen talent like this. "You should be in the elite class," he finally said. "We can offer you top-tier resources, the best teachers." But Lu Sheng shook his head. "No amount of education can match what I gain in my dreams." Mr. Zhang leaned forward, earnest. "This school will support you. You have potential beyond anything I've ever seen." Lu Sheng stood firm. "Then I want 2 things, a scholarship application and the freedom to attend class on my own terms." There was a pause, then a slow nod. Mr. Zhang understood. He reached into his coat and pulled out his bank card, handing it over. "Scholarships take time. Use this until then. Pay me back whenever." Lu Sheng was stunned by the gesture. He bowed slightly, accepting the card with quiet gratitude. As he walked out of the office, his thoughts were racing. Word had spread about another prodigy, someone even stronger, a level 2 martial artist at only 18. But this wasn't just about school tournaments anymore. Mr. Zhang had hinted at something greater, a hidden place, an opportunity that went beyond the classroom. Later, as Lu Sheng stood outside the Renshin pharmacy, he watched a mother buy premium supplements for her daughter. His chest tightened. He knew that without money, talent often meant nothing. In this world, wealth carved the path to greatness. He thought of his younger sister stuck in poverty. A part of him still clung to the safety of his old life, like a fish trapped in a small tank. But deep down, he longed for the ocean beyond. That desire, the need to break free, ignited something inside him. He used his earnings to buy an acupuncture machine for his father, supplements for his sister, and groceries for his mother. He was changing, slowly but surely. In his dreams, he transformed even more. He fought through hordes of undead with graceful precision, his skills honed by mysterious memories. His journey brought him to base 1359, a massive walled structure unlike anything he had ever seen. The base was immense, protected by 20-meter-thick walls, yet even this fortress had once been vulnerable. As Lu Sheng explored its inner city, he came upon the command center. Inside stood a man in white, one arm, no expression, but radiating an overwhelming killing intent that nearly crushed Lu Sheng where he stood. Every instinct screamed for him to retreat. He backed away slowly and stumbled into another chamber. In the center was a dormant machine. He reached out. With a pulse of light, a holographic AI appeared. She introduced herself in his native language. "I am AI," she said. "16th generation support system from Tianheng Tech. Network overseer of base 1359. Lu Sheng was stunned but wasted no time. "Show me the news." AI's interface glowed. 3 tabs appeared. January 10th, 2024. Base 1359 launched its 58th exploration ship. July 2024. Base 105 fell. All communication lost. A recent update. General Sun Kang had reached level 10 martial strength, the 472nd in history. Lu Sheng's jaw tightened. Even with all that power, Earth had fallen. No contact, no survivors. Humanity was losing. He turned to AI again, his voice quieter. "Show me this planet's history." What he saw made his blood run cold. The timeline of this fallen world, its rise, its struggle, its collapse, mirrored his own world, almost perfectly. Monsters erupting across the globe, the emergence of the first martial artist with tier-level power in the 34th martial arts year, and the establishment of the Martial Arts Association. These were not distant events from an alternate reality. They were part of Lu Sheng's own world. Stunned and disoriented, Lu Sheng realized that what he had just witnessed wasn't a dream or a parallel dimension. It was a terrifying glimpse into the future of his own reality, thousands of years ahead. A chill ran down his spine as the weight of this revelation sank in. And yet, despite the dread clawing at his chest, Lu Xian refused to succumb to despair. Perhaps he thought this was just a coincidence, or maybe a parallel world. Still, he couldn't shake the growing sense of urgency. With renewed determination, Lu Sheng turned his focus toward gathering information. He asked the AI to search for personal details about himself and his family. His heart sank when the system confirmed that he had died young, at just 28 years old, in the martial year 0325. Shaken, he tried searching for information about his younger sister, but the system demanded a blood verification before access could be granted. Frustrated, Lu Sheng wondered how he could possibly provide such a sample. That's when the AI took a bite, literally, nipping his finger and collecting the necessary blood. Lu Sheng was stunned by how bizarre the future had become, where even AIs acted with such eccentric autonomy. Red warning windows flickered across his vision as the system processed the sample. Moments later, his profile was updated. He had been a level 4 martial artist, a top graduate from White River Academy, and an esteemed alumnus of White River Martial University. After graduation, he had joined the military, fought valiantly, and ultimately died in battle at the age of 37 in martial year 1934. Lu Xian was dumbfounded. All this time, he had believed he was a prodigy, destined to rise above all others. But now he realized he had merely been one cog in the vast machinery of history, someone who hadn't even left a ripple behind. Reviewing the data, Lu Sheng noticed inconsistencies. The records noted that he had achieved commendable scores, impressive for someone who had relied on only basic training. But he knew deep down that if he integrated the techniques from his dream realm, he could push those scores to unprecedented heights. Refusing to settle for mediocrity, Lu Sheng renewed his vow. He would become the strongest. He wouldn't just be remembered, he would rewrite history. He wouldn't be a spark, he would be the inferno that set the world ablaze. The next morning, Lu Sheng explained to his mother that he could now study from home and no longer needed to attend regular classes. His mother and younger sister were skeptical. After breakfast, he returned to his room to train. Liu Qinghe, his sister, watched him curiously. Something about her brother had changed. He felt different, mysterious. She couldn't explain it, but she could feel it. Back in the dream realm, Lu Sheng asked the AI to show him all available notes, books, and training methods related to martial arts. He narrowed them down to those suitable for his level. After filtering, 3 top-tier techniques remained, each authored by a level 11 martial artist. They were the stellar body enhancement technique, a method that transformed the human body into a micro-universe, strengthening every cell and imbuing them with the power of stars. The natural breathing technique, which allowed the user to absorb elemental energy from the environment, increasing their physical prowess. The crystal meditation method, a mental training technique designed to increase resilience, mental clarity, and stress resistance. All were part of the mysterious Spark program. As Lucian delved into the techniques, it felt as though a veil had lifted. These martial artists had foreseen their world's doom and preserved their legacies, hoping someone would continue their path. When Lu Sheng awoke, his body felt completely different, purified, cleansed of toxins, and supercharged. It was time to test the formulas and create his own supplements. The following day, Lu Sheng arrived at White River Academy. Mr. Zhang greeted him with a smile and reminded him to attend at least 1 class per week. Lu Sheng nodded and made his way to the pharmacy, determined to rent a room for crafting supplements. Rejected by multiple pharmacists, he was about to give up when Mr. Zhang, seeing the fire in his eyes, personally funded him with an additional 50,000 credits, enough to buy what he needed. Eventually, Lu Sheng stumbled upon a small, quiet pharmacy. The cashier was distracted, glued to a live stream, and told Lu to grab whatever he needed. After a brief conversation and a bit of clever bribery, Lu was granted access to a back room for 3 hours. Donning a lab coat, Lu Sheng began. Inspired by shows like Rick and Morty and Full Metal Alchemist, he measured and mixed with meticulous care. The final product was extraordinary, a supplement infused with knowledge from 10,000 years in the future. As he drank it, nothing happened at first. Then, a jolt. An explosion of pain ripped through his chest. He collapsed, writhing in agony, every muscle convulsing, every nerve on fire. He screamed, the veins in his neck bulging. Minutes passed like hours, but then it stopped. Gasping, drenched in sweat, he stood. His blood energy had surged. His skin glowed with vitality. Before he could savor the results, urgent knocks pounded on the door. The cashier waved frantically. "Run!" The owner had returned. The woman who entered the lab radiated power and authority. Her sharp eyes immediately spotted the lab coat stains. Her voice was icy. "Did someone use my lab?" she asked the cashier, her tone razor-sharp. He stuttered. She fired him on the spot. But then she noticed something, traces of the supplement. Intrigued, she scooped up a drop and tested it. Her eyes widened. Even a single drop had immense power, far beyond anything on the market. She dashed out in search of the cashier. He turned as she sprinted toward him, heart pounding, half in fear, half in awe. For a moment, he thought maybe this was his harem moment. That fantasy vanished as she grabbed him by the collar, demanding to know who used her lab. He stammered, then offered his phone. The woman, Susu, felt her pulse quicken. This supplement was worth at least 100,000 credits on the market and cost less than 5,000 to produce. A miracle. Back in his room, Lucian had just finished another brutal training session when his phone buzzed. It was a call from the pharmacy number, but the voice on the other end wasn't the cashier's, it was Susu. She introduced herself politely, then got straight to the point. She wanted to meet, and she wanted to promote his revolutionary new supplement. After confirming the meeting for next week, Susu could hardly contain her excitement at the prospect of meeting the masterful pharmacist. However, her enthusiasm was quickly dampened when the cashier revealed a startling truth. The man who had been using her lab was merely a high school student. After the initial shock wore off, Susu found herself even more intrigued. Who exactly was Lu Sheng? Meanwhile, as Lu Sheng delved deeper into the dream realm, he could feel his power growing with each passing day. Today, his target was a level 4 martial artist zombie, a formidable opponent. Without a moment's hesitation, Lucian charged forward, but as he closed in for the kill, he was caught off guard by a swift counterattack. The blow left his arm numb and throbbing with pain. The zombie roared with fury, its bloodlust unrelenting as it lunged at Lu Sheng again. This time, Lu Sheng was ready. Rather than confronting it head-on, he ducked and dodged, moving swiftly to the side. With a sudden burst of speed, he unleashed a devastating roundhouse kick that sent the zombie crashing to the ground. Wasting no time, Lu Sheng leapt into the air and brought down a crushing axe kick, leaving the zombie motionless. As he explored the memories left behind by these fallen warriors, Lu Sheng's perception began to shift. They were no longer just mindless monsters. They were once protectors of their land. With reverence in his heart, he bowed humbly before turning to leave. Having dedicated himself to mastering 3 core techniques, Lu Sheng spent an entire week refining his skills. The results were nothing short of a use of their testing dummy. His blood energy now measured at an impressive 15.632, elevating him to the rank of a level 2 martial artist. As Lu Sheng turned his gaze toward the testing dummy, his eyes glinted. Punch, he shattered the previous record. His battle strength registered at 3,137, more than double that of an average level 2 martial artist. But Lu Sheng wasn't satisfied. He knew this was only a glimpse of his true potential. Assuming his stance again, he prepared to go even further. As he stepped away from the testing site, he was greeted by the receptionist's radiant smile. Strolling past a pair of young martial arts students nearby, Lu Sheng caught the attention of the owner's daughter, who was engaged in light-hearted banter with the receptionist. The receptionist, still flustered by Lu Sheng's striking good looks, seemed completely enchanted. However, a male student nearby, clearly eavesdropping, had a different opinion. To him, appearances meant nothing. Only martial achievement mattered. In his eyes, Lu Sheng looked like an average kid and was surely a lost cause.
Arrogance radiated off him, a result of growing up on expensive supplements that gave him an edge over others his age. Before he could continue his tirade, the young girl smacked him on the head and gave him a stern talking to. "Don't judge others so quickly. You don't know their story," she chided, clearly unimpressed by his inflated ego. Still unconvinced, the boy demanded to see Lu Sheng's test results. He begged the girl to show him the data. With a resigned sigh, she handed him the tablet. As they read the results, their jaws dropped. Blood energy, 15.632. Battle strength, 3,137. They could hardly believe their eyes. Had the machine malfunctioned? No, the receptionist confirmed. It was calibrated just yesterday. Suddenly, their perception of Lu Sheng shifted. They were desperate to find out more about this mysterious student. Later that day, as Lu Sheng stepped out of a taxi, the driver, clearly fond of him, offered to set him up with his daughter. Lu Sheng smiled politely and declined, then headed toward the White River City Martial Artists Association. As he approached, he saw a young martial artist rushing out in tears. Apparently, the results he had received at home didn't match the official assessment here. Unbothered, Lu Sheng proceeded to the front desk and inquired about taking the martial artist identification exam. After filling out a form, he was sent to the testing floor. The site was packed with applicants,
most in their mid-20s. Surprisingly, among them was a girl who looked even younger than Lu Sheng. While he waited in line, a towering figure emerged from the elevator and began cutting through the queue, creating a stir among the others. A female applicant called him out, but security intervened. "He's here for the level 3 assessment," they explained. "He's allowed to bypass the line." The crowd fell silent. There were only a handful of level 3 martial artists in the city. The towering figure stepped up for his assessment. His blood energy registered at 107, and his battle strength a staggering 10,831. With a single strike, he sent shockwaves through the room, knocking several onlookers off balance. But 2 individuals stood firm, Lu Sheng and the girl beside him. The towering man took notice, raising an eyebrow at the boy, who appeared unimpressed by his overwhelming display of power. "Arrogant kid," the girl muttered, watching Lu Sheng step forward casually. Now it was his turn. With no one ahead of him, Lu Sheng placed his hand on the crystal. Gasps erupted around the room. Blood energy, 15.701. For a high school student, this was nothing short of miraculous. Even the towering figure's smug expression faltered. Lu Sheng turned to face the strength dummy. As he assumed his stance, his arm pulsed with a powerful aura, and his eyes burned with purpose. The room held its breath. Lu Sheng was about to show them all that this was just the beginning.